Today, I'll be showing you how to get out of bounds with the new dungeon, the Grasp of Avarice in Destiny 2. Do us a favor and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. The method I'm going to show you can be done from patrol or from within the dungeon playlist itself. The first thing you'll want to do is to get out of bounds underneath Skywatch. This isn't really new as we have a video already covering this. If you want to look at other ways, check out the card in the top right. Otherwise, follow my path. The method I'm using in this video will be the easiest for any class in my opinion, as I do it on my hunter all the time. If you've been under here before, you will notice the new geometry from the new dungeon. Basically, you're just going to want to jump and stay to the right and keep falling further and further down. So this is where the load zone is. It's a little tricky, but just make sure to follow my path and you should be able to pass. Otherwise, you might phase in and die inside the wall. That looks a little something like this. Now, you will be able to respawn and it will put you in the dungeon. So this is quite useful if you're trying to get into the start of the dungeon from the patrol. As far as I can tell, everything's interactable and you should be able to proceed with the entire dungeon. This dungeon's pretty large, so I'll be speeding up most of the video, but I'll leave my path in here so you can see how to get to certain aspects that are out of bounds. As you can see, this dungeon is quite large, so I highly suggest going and exploring. There's so much to do. If you find something we missed, then why not leave a comment below so we could check it out and have a conversation about it. Speaking of conversations, we have a Discord if you're interested. We have a channel for glitches and plenty of other things. If you're interested, check the description of the video. This part can take a little finessing, but the easiest way I've found is dropping down here on this pipe. As you can see, there is a shade of a wall here. You're going to need to go into the crack to get around it. Once you get out here, you're going to want to stay to the far right away from the wall as there is a kill barrier. You'll notice this little piece of terrain extruding through the wall. Throw a stasis grenade and jump on top of it, and you should be able to jump up to an invisible piece of terrain. Once up here, head straight and you'll find a building that has no colliders. Walk into this and head to the other side and you'll find a tunnel that you can drop into. Walking through this tunnel will result in you loading into the dungeon and you will no longer be out of bounds. Thus, you can turn around and head to the room where you open the garage doors. If you've done the dungeon before, you'll know the left switch opens this door and you're able to go into a Sparrow racing area. The saddest part of the new dungeon for me was not being able to explore this area, but hey, if you come in this way, there's no longer any bombs or timer. There's not a ton of places to explore on the Sparrow race itself until you get near the end. However, right at the beginning, there is a spot that you can literally just walk out of. If you want to stay out of bounds, you can actually just walk this way and follow my path and hop in this corner. Most of the time you should stay alive. Sometimes you might die and phase in. However, if you stay out here and you stay alive, you'll be out of bounds loaded into the Sparrow race. You can get behind both of these side areas, but you're gonna have to jump down onto the water. For an example, I'll go ahead and jump onto the left side. Jumping under either side will put you under the map and you'll be able to navigate from the beginning to the end completely under it. There is a hole back in further down, which we can touch base on now. In the room right before the cannons that shoot you to the end, if you look up, you'll see that the cave actually has a giant gaping hole and you're able to jump up to there. Likewise, if you're crazy enough to actually make it to this point underneath the map, you can jump in the hole and get back into the dungeon. The other thing I noticed while I was out here is you could stasis wall jump and get up above the next room with the cannons. It's just as simple as going up the wall, turning around and jumping, and then boom, you're on top. If you walk over, you might notice that there is a giant gaping hole here that I did try to climb up into from in the cavern, but it is solid and you can't actually get in here. Your bullets do travel through, which is interesting. Turning around, you'll be able to jump over this mountain and jump down on top of the tunnel that takes you to the next area. It is a little hard to find a loading zone that works 100% of the time. That being said, if you follow my path, I'll take you to a hole where the loading zone exists and you should be okay most of the time. Once you see the Sunken Lair appear, you should be able to jump out of the hole and explore the top and bottom of the next zone. It is the zone with the giant ball in the middle where you go up and fight the boss. I'm going to save y'all a ton of trouble and jump cut through my explorations outside the top of this area. There's so much out here and so much to see. This cube, for example, houses the enemy that has the Fallen Shield's health bar when you're in the actual dungeon. Check out the card in the top right. There's also a bunch of stuff to see under the map, but this is by far my favorite view. Just look at this orb all in one view. It looks pretty cool. Speaking of the orb, if you come in this dungeon through patrol, the Fallen Shield won't spawn and you'll be able to use sword flying to get up under it and actually get to the end boss. This quickly became my preferred spot, but I have been able to get over here from many other high vantage points. So find a spot that you feel comfortable with and start sword flying. I went ahead and used my stasis grenades to create platforms and kind of a safety net, but I'm sure if you're better at sword flying, you would be able to get up there in one shot. Once you make it up into the hole, you're going to want to head to the boss room and you'll be able to get out of bounds once again. Once you reach Wilhelm's Hoard, the boss room, you will notice that the door is active and you're no longer able to proceed, but hey, when's a door ever stopped this? Using a Titan's shoulder charge, you should be able to get right through the hole. You can also do this with a sword. I had moderate success, but the shoulder charge was much easier. Heading down this walkway, we'll be able to trigger the load zone for Sunken Lair and then turn around and go back to the top. As you'll see, we're inside the orb with an unloaded boss room. It's pretty sick, right? I mean, I just love these kinds of out of bounds because it gives you the true scale of what this game is. It's fucking huge. First and foremost, all of those glass windows are solids and you're not able to really do anything or go out, so that sucks. However, I did do some experimenting and I tried to load myself back into the boss room, but I didn't have any success. I kept ending up in this wall right here. After a while, I gave up on experimenting myself and I looked at the Raid Secrets subreddit and I noticed that Atomic Apples happened to find the Sparrow breach. Pretty simple. I mean, you just put your Sparrow in the spot and you just get on and off a couple times. With any luck, you might be able to get on your first shot, but hey, it worked for me. And just like that, we've made it all the way to the boss room from the patrol. There's a couple other honorable mentions that I'm going to run through now. Near the end of the race, right before you jump through the cannons to get to the end, you may notice 2 waterfalls. And there's actually an out of bounds hidden beneath and under them, which is kind of funny because most video games hide loot or some sort of secret behind a waterfall anyways. Now you can't really go anywhere once you're in here, at least that I could find, but I did find it funny and I think it would be pretty neat if Bungie did go in here and put an Easter egg because it is the loot cave after all. Heading back to the underside of Skywatch, you'll find that it's now very easy to get underneath Jovian Complex or the Disgraced strike just with a simple jump. If you've seen our video on Jovian Complex, you'll know that if you jump right here, there is a loading zone. However, this time we're underneath and we're going to be sword flying to land somewhere solid. If you learned something new and enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. If you didn't, then leave a dislike and let us know why in the comments. And as always, stay curious, Guardians.